Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be dating fantasy versus reality. Well, I've actually got 3 emails that I'm going to go through from 3 different people. One of them is a woman, the other 2 are from guys. But before we get into the first email, I got a quote I'd like to share with you that I wrote. And it says, "There is a societal myth that there is only one perfect person for you, and if you lose that person or screw it up, you'll never find someone better or as good as the one you lost. This is romantic nonsense perpetuated by ignorant people who have no real success and who don't know how to attract many options with members of the opposite sex. The truth is, we live in an infinitely abundant universe with unlimited romantic, career, business, and life possibilities. How do I know? Simply look at nature. There is life everywhere you can see. There is also microscopic life that is hidden from your eyes. You can't. You truly can create anything you really want in life. Once you decide what you want and start taking action, the universe will slowly bring you people, places, and events so you can create your dreams, as long as you don't get attached to anyone or anything and push them away with needy and unworthy behavior. Getting attached stops your progress and prevents you from seeing all of your infinite options. The truth is, the right people will show up and stick around slowly over time. The wrong ones will come and go. Let them. The key is to not get attached to anyone, time frames, or any outcome to enable the universe to bring you exactly what you want and need." So let's get into the first email. This one is from a woman. And she says, "Hi Coach, during all my visits with my doctor over the past 7 months, I felt how attracted to each other that we were. I knew from his profession he would never make a move. He is extremely respectful, but the constant blushing, staring at each other's eyes, and nervousness from both, I decided to break the ice and indirectly make us leave the patient-doctor zone. So I invited him to my birthday dinner," and she puts in parentheses, "that was my biggest mistake." I wouldn't call that a mistake at all, because you took a lot of risk. You put yourself out there, and in essence, what you did is you made it easy for him to put himself into your orbit, so to speak, and make a move. And at the end of the day, if he likes you, if really all of this staring and what you thought was going on was actually going on, he would have said, "Sure, I'd love to do that." I've got lots of friends of mine that are doctors, and we hang out all the time. I'm friends with their wives, and it's not a big deal. It's just whether it's a friend or there's a romantic interest there, when you have a lot of things in common with somebody and you really enjoy chatting and talking, that's just how friendships naturally develop. She said, "He expressed very kindly that he would love to come, but unfortunately because of our relationship as doctor and patient, he couldn't. But at the end of the day, if he was really into you as much as you thought he was, he would have come up with a reason to say, I can't pass this up. Of course I want to go to this girl's birthday party." He says, "I really thought he would take the opportunity for us to move forward. So now I don't even want to face him because I'm embarrassed on what he thinks of me." I think it's awesome what you did. That took a lot of guts to do that and to take a risk like that and put yourself out there. And that's what you have to do. You have to go for the things that you want in life. But you don't want to get all wrapped up in the fantasy and say, "Well, I know all this staring was going on and this and that." Whatever. Even at the end of the day, if there was attraction there, but he's got these rules, this little box that he lives in that says, "Oh, I can't date you because you're a patient of mine," you don't really want somebody like that anyways. She says, "I know that as a woman I should have let him make the move, and I thought that his profession was the barrier." Well, that's why you went ahead and you tried something. You put yourself out there and gave him the opportunity. You gave him a reason to step over that barrier, supposedly. But at the end of the day, it didn't work out, and that's what you got to look at. He didn't make any effort. He could have, but he didn't. And at the end of the day, even if he really liked you, what that tells me is he's holding back. You can't have a healthy relationship with somebody who's constantly holding back and not acting upon their own feelings. I mean, think about it. If something's ever really bothering him, do you think he's going to tell you about it? Do you think you can have healthy communication with somebody like that? I don't think so. She says, my question is he going to look at me different? Please help. I know that he is single. There's nothing you can do. You went out of your way. You invited him. And it's his loss. That's the way you need to look at it. And go on about your business. And just, like I said, forget about it. I move on to the next. Because you don't want to stay fixated on this guy. And you said over 7 months this was going on. 7 months is a long time to be hung up on one person where it's not going anywhere. It's just like what I said in the quote. It's like you're cutting yourself off from all of the other possibilities because you become attached to this one guy who's really not a possibility. But I think it's awesome, and I think you should feel really good about yourself and the fact that you took a risk and put yourself out there. I think that's just great. She says, I watch all of your videos, and there is not one video that relates to my concern. I really hope you can make one. Thank you, love you, I'm a big fan of yours. Well, awesome, I appreciate that, and there you are. I answered your question in a video. But keep doing that. That's great, because if next time you meet a guy, you'll feel better. You should feel good about yourself for the fact that you did that instead of regretting it. But the key is he didn't reciprocate any interest. He didn't take advantage of the opportunity. You should look at it as his loss and move on to the next. That's what I talked about in the quote about not getting attached to somebody. So I've got a second email here, and this one's from a guy. He says, hi, Coach. I'm in a state where I'm confused in a frustrated manner. I've recently began having affection for a girl. What's odd is I really didn't have interest before in the past due to rejection, and I've closed myself off. However, recently when this girl noticed me, she began giving me signals, and I started wondering to myself, why the hell is she looking at me? Self-pity, maybe? Well, that's a positive. Oh yeah, she must be looking at me because she pities me. I was like, come on, dude. That's not a positive. Let me think about that. You should be having the attitude of course she's looking because I'm amazing. I'm a handsome-looking dude. I have a lot to offer a woman. Of course she's interested. But it's like you get involved in this mental circle jerk, and you let all of your fears and your limiting beliefs get in the way of taking any kind of action for a girl who's obviously putting herself out there and expressing interest. He says, I recently began getting back in shape, and I started going to this CrossFit class, and each time I finished my class, she showed up. However, I was usually late on finishing my workout, so each time the next class started, she noticed me. Fuck, this one time when I was doing push-ups, she sat right in front of me, having her back turned from the instructor and everyone else. That's a pretty good indication that she was into you. But obviously this went on for quite a period of time, and you didn't make a move because your fear of being potentially rejected was worse than actually putting yourself out there. And now you're obviously kicking yourself because you never took advantage of this. He says, this wasn't the first time. Near the end of my class, I went to grab something from my bag, and out of nowhere, she showed up. The smart thing I did when I noticed she was there is I replied back by talking to her. All you would have had to say is, hey, I really enjoyed chatting with you. We should meet up for a cup of coffee. When are you free to get together? Or, hey, we should get together for a drink sometime. When are you free to meet up? That's all you had to say, dude. He says, think about all the time. This must have been taking place over the course of a month or two of you running into her like that. And eventually she could tell, obviously, that you were starting to like her, but then you never made a move on her. He says, what's odd is near the end of the conversation, before she left, we were both glancing at each other's eyes for more than a fraction of a second, and before she left, she still had her eyes on me. She never turned her back from me when the conversation ended. Since then, the spark ignited, and I started going to the gym 5 days a week. I started eating less. I became more open to talking to people, etc. All of these changes happened in a month because of this girl, and each time I ignored it, it grew stronger. I began having more affection for her. Well, you should look at it, instead of being bummed that you haven't seen this girl and nothing's happened, you should be grateful that it stirred something into you to start growing, to start doing things that you weren't doing, to start taking better care of your body. This is how the universe works. It brings you someone into your life that stirs something in you that causes you to want to become a better man. And that's the important thing that you need to focus on, is you're taking better care of you. You're getting in better shape. You're eating healthier. You're talking to other people. And like I said, people show up, and you shouldn't get attached to how long they're in there. If she was really meant to be in your life, she'd still be in your life. You would have made a move. Now you kind of regret the fact that you haven't seen her in a while. But like I said, you should look at the positive possibilities, like, wow, this great person came into my life. So when you're doing things to take care of yourself, that's just how it happens. He says, at times I thought I was just being delusional, but my eyes cannot lie. Regardless to say, it's been a month since I last saw her, and I've been going to the gym 5 days since. And when I'm there, I focus on my workouts and talk to other people. That's awesome. You should be grateful that she showed up. You should just thank the universe. You say, thanks, God. I'm really glad that that woman came in my life, even though it was only for a short period of time, because look at how she's had a positive effect on you. Think about it. Now when you're happy and you're positive and you're open to new possibilities, this is how you can create a space for someone new to come into your life, whereas before you weren't really paying attention or trying anything. Somebody paid attention to you, and boom, look how it affected your life. He says, however, I cannot forget that moment that I was talking with her. I am ready to make a change and do something. I want to talk to her, and I want to get to know her and be with her, but I can't, and the reason is that I haven't seen her in a month. Well, you didn't take action when you should have taken action. At the end of the day, it is what it is. You were building up your confidence, and you're building up your people skills, and then by the time you're finally ready to do something about it, she was gone from your life. That happened for a reason. It's supposed to be that way, and don't question it. Because if you stay stuck on that, now you're closing yourself off from the great women that you're going to meet in the future. He says, it sucks, but I am patient, but at the same time, I'm focusing on other stuff. Do more of that. He says, when the time is ready, what should I do? I hear from people that she's sweet and talkative, and it's true. I had the mistake, but because I had the mentality of all of the attractive women are the same, however, she is different. And the more I ignore, the more I want to see her. It's frustrating. What the odds is I don't give a shit in the month before, and now all of a sudden I feel this attraction. It seems very odd to me. Well, it's like people tend to want what they can't have. It's like you saw what was available and right in front of you, and then now that it's been removed, now you're focusing on what was. And now you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm never going to find another woman like that. The truth is, those women are like that everywhere you go. But up until this one particular girl who made it really easy for you to realize that this woman is interested in you, she helped you become the person you needed to be in order to attract the person you're really supposed to be with. That's the way you need to look at this situation. And just keep doing what you're doing. Keep working out. Keep being happy about it. Hey, if you run into her at some point in the future, say exactly what I said earlier in the video. I don't need to go over it again. It's really fucking simple. And not only that's what you would say to her, but any other woman that you would meet when you have this kind of chemistry. But when you get in the flow of talking to people and getting to be friendly with people, you'll be amazed at all the possibilities that show up. So I've got the final email here. I assume it's from another guy. So let's get into it. He says, hey, Coach Corey, I'm following your videos and have read your book, and that has really helped me a lot in my situation. I'm an Indian guy, okay, so it's definitely from a guy, and was dating this American girl at work who got out of an 8-year relationship with her ex-husband who cheated on her. She initiated contact, and we met up for a date, and she came back home with me the same night. Well, it tells me you did pretty much most things right when you were with her in order for her to come home that first night. That's great, man. Good job. He says, since then, which was 6 months ago, we hung out and chatted at work continuously. She told me not to get attached during the initial phase of our relationship, and she was chasing me all the time. So obviously the reason she's telling you these things is because you were really chasing after, or she could tell that you were really starting to fall for her and get emotionally wrapped up, and she's trying to help you not fuck it up. You should pay attention to those things. When a woman says stuff like that, there's a purpose and a reason to it. It's not just some random accident. And so she says, after about 3 months, she let her guard down and was pretty comfortable with hanging out on a regular basis, and she made me took me to meet her family a couple of times, and everybody liked me. We pretty much saw each other at work every day. I think where I went wrong was that I stopped living the life I used to live before her by ignoring friends up to a certain extent and not partying like before, and was always available to hang out with her. So that's part of where you went wrong here, is that you became consumed on this woman, and you started not focusing on your purpose and taking care of yourself and doing things like you had been doing originally. That is not a good way to go. I'm sure you and everybody else that's watching this video has had a friend or a family member who, as soon as they got into a relationship or started dating someone, you never saw them again. They just totally disappeared. I had a buddy of mine that I had dinner with, I guess about 3 or 4 weeks ago, because I just moved back to Orlando recently. I hadn't seen him in several years. And he was like calling me every day, asking me for advice in this chick. And he finally started listening to what I was telling him. I haven't heard from him like almost 3 weeks now. So obviously things are going really well. And it's just because he's one of those type of guys. He's with dating a girl he really is digging. And that's what happens. And so as soon as things start to go sideways, I'm sure I'll hear from him again in the future. But it's like, don't be like that. Keep your friends. Keep your life. Keep going to the gym. Keep focused on your purpose. Keep focused on your business. Don't ever give up on your dreams. I had a phone session the other day with a guy who totally gave up his career and a real passion that he had because he thought he needed to do that because that was what he thought would make his girl happy. Well, fast forward a year later, she dumped his ass because he had no real purpose. He wasn't making much money. He was struggling financially. And now he's just trying to get back to the level of success that he was at before he gave up a really great gig that he had. So he says, I'm really good at cricket and I represent the Midwest, and she really likes my passion and tells me she's really proud of me. That's why you should continue doing those things, because that's what she liked about you initially, is because of all these things you had going on in your life. But when you start to get away from that, then you're no longer being the guy that she fell for. It's like, I can't count the number of times I've talked to men, and that's a big part of the reason why their girlfriends or their wives fall out of love with them, is because they think they have to give up their purpose and what they really love in order to make the woman happy. Even if she says that's what she wants, if you do that, you're not being centered, you're not being masculine, you're not being the strong guy, well-rounded guy who she fell for. He says, she thought that I wanted to hang out with her all the time, but I never told her that. Well, I mean, you gave up your purpose and everything else to be with her. I mean, you said so yourself that you were too easy and too available. He says, I would say that I was being weak and always brought up the idea to do something with her, and she always agreed, but not without some reluctance. And so basically what you started to notice is that there was resistance from her. And you obviously saw that because she was kind of reluctant to hang out. In other words, what was going on is you were spending too much time together. There wasn't enough time because you didn't have any other interest anymore other than her, where she could be away from you and wonder about you and wonder where she stood with you and to think about her feelings and spend time with her girlfriends. It pretty much became like she became the center of your life and she became your purpose, and you gave up all the things that you loved that made you so well-rounded in the first place. He says she also says she has a strong belief in Christianity, and that's one of her reasons for not being able to commit totally. That's just the excuse. What the real reason is, you started over pursuing her, and you totally became consumed with her. And listen to what he says in the next sentence. I did smother her and was trying to rush her while she was not totally ready, and she knew she could have me any time that she wants, and I'm totally into having a relationship with her. That's a big part of the problem. You became all focused on the relationship, trying to lock her down to a commitment, and she felt like she was going to lose her freedom. And that's why she started backing away. And the more she backed away, the more you pursued, which is just needy, unworthy type of behavior. And you're literally, just like in the quote that I shared in the beginning of the video, you're chasing her right out of your life. But you can't look at it as a bad thing when you lose somebody like this. You got to realize that that person was in your life so you could overcome this weakness, overcome this neediness and this insecurity. Because when you first met her, just like you said, she was all over you. But you had a belief that was contrary to that. And your belief was, oh, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve this girl. And eventually, when she finds out what I'm really like, she's going to be gone. He says she went on 2 trips, one with a guy friend and then with her girlfriend 2 consecutive weekends. After the second trip, she told me she needed a break and wants to feel free and independent. What did I say? You must love, just like the quote I share all the time. You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And so that's what happened. She started to feel like she was losing her freedom, and she came right out and said that. She wants to feel free and independent, and that she has been on the fence for a long time, not being able to commit. She just didn't want to commit to you because she felt like committing to you would mean losing her freedom, and that she couldn't be who she really was. Because you were giving up who you were in order to try to change yourself into what you thought you needed to be in order to make her happy. And that is the exact opposite of what you should have done. He says, I chased her, pursued her, cried as well. Oh, man, come on, man. He says, and I'm a good-looking, confident guy, and I was always perceived myself as a catch and was shocked at my behavior as well. Well, you should be. That's why you should take your right hand, reach out, and choke yourself, and say, don't ever do that shit again. Because now you know. This was what the beauty of the situation like this is you learn firsthand, like, oh, wow, that really went over like a lead fucking balloon. I'm not going to do that bullshit again. He says, after the break was over, we met and she told me she kind of has feelings for this friend who called her after being dumped by his ex and has feelings for her, and he lives in Texas. I tried to convince her to take more time and think, but she was unwilling. So in other words, you went right back to the chasing, needy behavior, trying to use logic and reason. This is an emotional connection that happens. It's not an argument that you can't argue or logic and reason a woman into loving you. It has to be something that naturally happens on her own by you having your own life, your own goals, your own friends, your own purpose, and your own mission. But when you give all that stuff up, she never has that time to develop it because now you're being weak. In essence, you're acting like a little girl. He says, since then, I've been following your advice and basically told her all the things you say in your best strategy to get an X-Back article. She initiated contact a couple of times, but I kept it short after being told she wants to be a friend for now and couldn't see myself in her future right now if she closed her eyes. I see her every day at work, and it's just so difficult not to chase and pursue. Well, where has that gotten you? It got you dumped, dude, and stuck in friend zone. Why would you want to do more of that? He says, but I have been successfully doing that for the past 2 to 3 weeks. Is there something else I can do? It's like the illusion of action. You want to do something. You've already done enough, dude. The problem is you've done too much doing, and you've literally chased her right out of your life. He says, or should I keep doing what I'm doing? You shouldn't do anything with this particular woman. You told her how you felt about it. You see her at the office. You're like, hey, how are you? But flirt with the other girls that are at the office too and get to know them. Chat with them. Go out on dates with other women. Because unless this girl reaches out to you, because it takes two to make the relationship work, she ain't willing to do anything at this point. And you being attached to her and hung up on her is not going to help your situation. It's not going to enable you to create a space where somebody new can come into your life who doesn't have you haven't done all this fucking up with. Because even if this girl starts to come back, she's always going to have that fear in the back of her mind, worrying that you're going to go back to your old behavior. And she's already kind of seen that. You kind of try to go right back to that behavior of controlling her and trying to cajole and manipulate her into doing what it is that you want. That is a strategy that's always going to cause failure every single time. So the only thing you can do is go about your life, be friendly to her, be nice to her when you see her at work. Say, hey, baby, you look great today. And then just keep going about your business. And if she wants to come over and chat with you, just say, hey, I'd love to chat, but I'm really busy. Call me later and we'll talk. Maybe we'll meet up for coffee or something like that. Then if she calls you, assume she wants to see you, make a date, hang out, have fun, hook up. Keep things really simple. So if you'd like to get my help personally, there's 2 ways that you can get my help. The first one is book a paid hour-long phone coaching session with me, or you can write in an email and pay for an emergency email response. And I'll respond to those within like 24 to 48 hours, excluding weekends and holidays. So on my website, click the products tab, which will be at the top of your screen, and then just pick whatever coaching option you feel you need or that you can afford. And I will talk to you soon.